You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the first part of What If Naruto Enters Gargoyles? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Over 1,000 years ago, we see a small boat floating in the water heading for a village. A man sat on it holding a baby while around him were 9 small creatures, one a brown creature covered in blue markings, next was a 2-tailed cat whose skin was like fire and had a yellow and blue eye, next a 3-tailed turtle, a 4-tailed ape, a creature that seemed to be the fusion of a whale and a horse with 5 tails, a 6-tailed slug, a beetle with 7 tails, a creature that seemed to be the mix of a bull and an octopus, with 8 tentacles, and a 9-tailed fox. Here you should be safe, little one, far from him, the man said to the baby who kept sleeping. We won't fail you, father, the fox said politely, his voice full of conviction. I know Kurama, Shikaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Saiken, Chomei and Gyuki. Do not forget that this child is your responsibility. You must help train him to perfect his chakra when he is of age, to guide him on the correct path. He cannot look at these scrolls until he is old enough, the man said. Yes, father, they said in unison. Remember, young Naruto, the humans will fear you for what you will be able to do, but do not give in to their hatred, become a symbol for their hope. It is human nature to fear what is different, but I hope you will become better, the man said to the small babe that was looking at him with such innocent and pure blue eyes. The boat washed ashore as the man got off the boat and entered a village, hiding away from the people's sights before entering someone's house, and left Naruto there in a basket. Farewell, little one, the man said as he left, leaving the creatures and Naruto behind. Suddenly the baby began to cry, feeling alone, wanting someone's attention, and before long a man and woman entered the house to find him. A baby? The man said as the woman picked Naruto up. What manner of creatures are you? The woman asked, looking at them with fascination. We are here to look after him, to guide him. For it is his destiny to become this world's savior, Kokuo said to them calmly. Or destroyer, our father entrusted us to guide him. If you are willing to protect him, we will protect you, Kurama said as he believed in choice, wondering what the babe would choose once he was older. He's so precious, so innocent and full of life, the woman said as she was marveled by the feel from the small baby. For ages we have prayed for a child, now we have one, the man said happily. Little did the couple know that their time with Naruto would be cut very short. 1 week later, we see the village Naruto was living in practically burned while a blue-skinned, red-haired gargoyle flew over it with a lavender-skinned one. Vikings, the blue one said, growling. Shoo, do you hear that? The lavender one asked as his ears perked up. Hear what, Goliath? The female asked before she too heard the sound of a baby crying. The two floated down to a house and went inside to find a Viking with an arrow through his head, while the woman that found Naruto was holding him with an axe in her back. No, Goliath said as he rushed to her, carefully pulling the weapon out, but his eyes widened in shock seeing the size of the gash and saw the blood that was pouring. She'll die, he thought, knowing that the woman wouldn't survive. Please take care of him, the woman said as she passed Naruto to the blue one before falling limp to the ground, dying. The female gargoyle looked as Naruto looked up at her. Please do it, we don't know what else to do, Chomei said as he and the others made themselves know. What are you, demons? Goliath asked curiously as they did not look threatening, just very cute. Sorta, our father asked us to guide the child and we promised to protect this village, but we failed, Matatabi said as she lowered her head. Why are you not afraid, little one? The female asked as she held a finger to Naruto, who held it. How can we care for a human child when we become stone during the day? Goliath said to them. Please, we sense darkness here. The man that was raising him with her grew afraid of what the boy could do in the future, so he let the Vikings into the village. We don't know what else to do, as this place was father's best chance for him, Kurama said to them, explaining the situation as the man became weary as Naruto was different compared to other babies. I cannot abandon one so young, Goliath said as the baby smiled at him, and he smiled back, unaware of the bond that had been forged. Look, he looks at me and isn't afraid, beloved. Why? The blue one said as she was wondering why the baby wasn't afraid of her. He likes you. Take us with you, Shikaku said to them. We can take him back to the castle, the blue one said to her. We could ask the humans to watch over him during the day, Goliath said, as they did trust the humans to watch and protect their stone bodies during that time. We can help with that, Isabu said, as they didn't have their time limit. 10 minutes later. Goliath and the female landed on the top of a castle as other gargoyles, including a large dog-like one, came over. There you are, lad. Thought you dash, the old brown-skinned gargoyle was saying before he noticed the child as the tailed beasts landed. Why do you have a child? He asked, wondering why they had a child. This is Naruto, and he will be one of us, one of our clan, as will his protectors, Goliath said with a smile. Wouldn't it be simpler to give him to the humans to be raised? A red-skinned gargoyle that looked a bit like a dragon said, wondering why they'd keep a human. A woman with her dying breath asked us to raise him. I will not dishonor her sacrifice, the blue one said to them fiercely, as she was honor-bound, and the child made her curious as to why he didn't fear her when everyone else did. Agreed, but we will ask the humans to look after him during the day while we watch over him at night, Goliath said, as he liked that idea very much. Cute little guy though, a golden-brown short gargoyle said as the baby laughed. Little did this clan know that they put Naruto on a path that would change him forever. 1 year later. The red-headed female was sitting watching over Naruto, the infant reaching up the carousel above him, gurgling and giggling with a wide smile on his face. She looked at the baby with scorn, never having liked humans and only watched him for her own purposes, as to this day she wanted to know why he didn't. Why do you not fear me? I am a creature of the night and yet you show no fear, she said as she looked over the baby before picking him up. Why do I bring you joy? She asked the baby, binging it face to face, wanting to look him in the eyes, wanting to see some speck of fear. MMMA, Naruto said as he tapped her nose. Her eyes widened in shock, wondering if her mind was taking. What did you call me? She asked, wanting to confirm what she heard. Mama. Naruto said with a bright smile. The red-headed female smiled lightly before holding Naruto close to her. Even though you are not a gargoyle, I will care for you as if you were one, she said with a smile, accepting this infant as if he were her own, which made her happy and relieved her of some and not a lot of anger she had within her. 10 years later. Naruto had grown to become a fine child, learning to read with the princess of Castle Wyvern, learning the ways of magic from her advisor the Magus, and learning the ways of the night with the captain of the guard. I don't know, kid, Kurama said as the others watched Naruto prepare a potion. This'll be awesome. Should this work, mother and father will really enjoy this surprise, Naruto said as he poured a red liquid into a cauldron. I can't watch this, Isabu said as he went into his shell. You really shouldn't be doing spells without the Magus here to supervise, Kokuo said wisely, giving him her own opinion, as even though she didn't like the Magus, he did keep Naruto safe. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Shikaku yelled with a mad grin until he was kicked by Kokuo, which was very hard with her being a horse. Shut up, you idiot. Matatabi yelled at her brother. Naruto added bits of some green substance when suddenly the cauldron began to shake before starting to change colors. Oh, he said. Boom. That's what the entire castle heard that night. Banging was heard on the door to the room Naruto was in before Goliath tore the door off. Naruto. The female redhead gargoyle said, calling out for him, feeling and sensing he was in the room. Here, mother, Naruto's voice cut through the smoke before a obsidian black scaled and clawed hand gripped a wall. By the ancients, the Magus said in pure shock. What's wrong? Naruto asked curiously, looking at them. The tailed beast said before Naruto looked into the mirror. Naruto gasped as he saw he had become a dragon-like gargoyle and his hair had gained red streaks into it. "I've become a gargoyle," he said, looking himself over. "Oh son," the redhead female said in worry. "How did this happen?" Goliath asked. "Kid wanted to show you this special spell he's been working on, makes explosions of colors," Yuki said. "I guess we can add another thing to the kid's list of abilities," Kurama said, mumbling under his breath. Naruto had many abilities, like being able to change his eyes to look lavender with ripples with strange small objects in it, powers over the elements, and even more. To this day the Magus still wanted to study Naruto to understand his power better, but was always denied by the gargoyles, and at one time he tried during the day. The redhead female had threatened him the moment she found out at night, giving him many threats of disembowelment that if he ever attempted that she would carry out her threats to the fullest extent and beyond if she could. "Is it reversible?" Goliath asked curiously. "I cannot say for certain, I do not know what he used in the potion that did this," the Magus said, not knowing the exact formula as Naruto was a prodigy in his own making. Naruto looked at his hand, seeing as it had green flames, making him jump around trying to extinguish it before noticing he was not feeling pain, and as it traveled up his body it changed him back to normal. "Extraordinary, apparently the process allows you to change into a gargoyle, also allows you to change back. I must do more research on this," Magus said, as this was fascinating. "At least my baby is alright," the redhead female said as she hugged him and was a little happy he was also now officially one of them. "I wanna learn to glide," Naruto yelled in excitement. Alright son, come along," Goliath said with a nod, thinking this'd be fun. 10 minutes later. Naruto shouted as he fell out of the sky, much to the amusement of Shikaku and Kurama. "It ain't funny," he said, pouting at the two. "You're trying too hard," Goliath said with a chuckle, as it was a little amusing watching a fellow gargoyle trying to learn how to glide as it was with other avian species. "Well, I wanted to glide, but apparently my wings are strong enough for flight," Naruto said as he pouted. "First you must learn to glide before you can truly ride the wind. Reading the currents of wind are essential to flight," his mother said, as gliding could be easy or harder depending on the winds. "Yes mother," Naruto said as he wanted to keep practicing. "This time do it with us, we will show you," Goliath said as they climbed back to the top of the castle. Naruto held their hands as they took off into the air with everyone watching, and after a few minutes they let his hands go. "There, now you're doing it," his mother said happily, seeing the excitement in his eyes, unable to not feel the same. "Yeah, woohoo," Naruto said as he began doing loops in the air. Naruto was having the time of his life before slamming into a wall, before sliding down, then hitting the ground loudly. "Ooh," everyone said that watched cringed, almost feeling that as it looked and sounded pretty painful. "I'm okay," Naruto said, not sounding in pain. Over the years Naruto learned to master the skills all gargoyles had, while learning to mix them with what he knew. Learning to further make his magic greater, while also learning from the scrolls the beast's father left that he was supposed to become the world's savior or destroyer. Naruto didn't care about that, but learned to harness the energy the old man called chakra, the same which coursed through the veins of the beasts. Though the old man didn't leave him any way to teach it to anyone else, he used this gift to protect his family. When he reached his 20s he learned his eyes had powers of their own, like allowing him to grow 2 more pairs of arms, make his body into any weapon he could imagine, and so much more. 10 years later, Naruto, age 30. Taking a castle full of gargoyles and near nightfall. "This is crazy and Hakken knows it," a Viking said to his chief, looking up to a tower to see a group of stone gargoyles. "Questioning my sanity while I'm within earshot is crazy," Hakken said, gripping the soldier by his collar, pushing him back. "I say those things are not but chiseled stone, and even if they aren't, it's worth the risk for the plunder within. Attack!" The troops began to charge into the castle, using battering rams and wooden towers to reach higher levels. Hakken and his troops jumped onto one of the walls and gestured for a group to follow him to the highest tower. As they did, they failed to notice the sun start to grasp the edge of the tower and began to pull himself up. The stone skin of Goliath shattered as his eyes opened. "You are trespassing," he said, gripping Hakken by his arm as his troops started to cower. As soon all the gargoyles started to shatter from their stone sleep, glaring at the Vikings with glowing white eyes. Hakken pulled out his sword and took a swipe at the creature that held him. He looked at Goliath's hand to see blood dripping from his palm. Fight men. They are not invincible. Hakon shouted as his men gave off a cry of battle, charging in for battle as he kicked back off the parapet, gripping the rope as Goliath gilded off to aid his clan in battle. On the ground the Vikings battles against the invaders soaring through the skies with maid and feral grins knocking several from the towers. Up above 3 young gargoyles watched the fight below with excitement. Shall we let our brothers and sisters have all the fun? The red-skinned gargoyle said anxiously as he took to the sky. The light brown gargoyle looked over to the light green gargoyle with a smirk. You're not afraid, are you? He asked curiously, wondering what his answer would be. Afraid me? Why, all of nature trembles at my passing. The light green gargoyle said, flexing his muscles only for his muscles to give way to a pudgy build. I can see why. The young gargoyle chuckled, poking his stomach as they soon took off into battle. Atop the stone stairways stood the eldest of the gargoyles, effortlessly beating back the approaching Vikings, unaware of a third creeping up behind him until Goliath came up, tossing him aside. Watch your back, old friend. Goliath said, wanting his friends to always be safe. Heh, watch your own. The elder said as proceeded to beat back the invaders. Goliath then flew to the next tower to assist the captain of the guard. My thanks, Goliath. The captain said gratefully. I could not do otherwise. Goliath said, feeling no need for thanks from one of his mentors. These rogues no doubt followed that band of refugees we gave shelter to last night. The captain said, looking over to the small refugee camp. Meanwhile Hakon was breathing heavily, seeing how the tide of battle had changed so quickly to the aid of these gargoyles. He heard the sounds of growling and turned to see a large blue dog-like gargoyle slowly approaching him, and he was not alone. Standing by his side was a man or demon. He was dressed in mainly black with orange sidings, and dark gold accents. His breastplate and right shoulder pauldron are grey, though on his left shoulder pauldron is black gargoyle head, and a black side coat trailing down from his sides. The helmet, it has its own visor similar to the dragon head, and top of the visor is a golden jagged blade tip like that of a horn. You've made a big mistake coming here. One you shall pay with your life. Naruto said, drawing his sword, his mere presence causing fear to grip Hakon's heart. You don't frighten me, knight, Hakon said with a teasing smile. Oh, then maybe this might, he said as green fire began to travel over him, transforming him. Hakon gasped in fear, dropping his blade as the knight's form began to change, and standing over him was a new gargoyle with a demonic and dragon-like appearance. His pure white eyes flared as lighting cackled through his fingertips. How's about now? Naruto asked before laughing, seeing the man tremble, almost able to smell his fear. Hakon backed up before reaching stairs, only to run into Naruto's mother, an even worse fate if properly asked. Face me, human, if you dare, she said, hissing as she made her eyes glow red. Goliath landed before Hakon. I see you've met my second and third in command and our watchdog, he said before grabbing Hakon. I grow tired of this. Take what's left of your men, and be gone, he said, throwing Hakon at a cart filled with hay. This isn't over, monster, I'll be back. Hakon said as he fled, his men right behind him. Wimp, Naruto said as he changed back to normal, laughing. Do not underestimate your opponent, Naruto, Goliath said as Naruto's mother bandaged his hand. Yes, father, Naruto said to him as he did take and heed his father's wisdom. Goliath, we owe you and your clan our lives, the captain said respectfully. Just as we do to you and my son every day, Goliath said as he was happy that the captain helped train his son and saw this human as one worth respecting. Naruto's mother and some of the other gargoyles didn't like that the archers were saying that they sent the Vikings away. Ha, they acted tough, but they were just a bunch of cowards playing at being warriors. Naruto said, crossing his arms. Well said, lad, well said. The captain said, laughing, patting Naruto's shoulder proudly. Later that night we see the Princess Catherine, the Magus, and the knights all feasting as the captain walked in. Oh, I thought we were all under the sword there for a minute, but it's all thanks to our captain of the guard, a man said in relief and excitement. Captain of the gargoyles, you mean? He's right, taken with them, and that freak, another man said as they laughed. The captain clenched his fist hearing them before reaching his seat. Congratulations on protecting the castle, Captain, Catherine said, happily feeling safe and at ease. 'Tis not me who deserves that, my lady. If it wasn't for Goliath and his clan we wouldn't have been able to send them running, the captain said to her politely. Please don't mention that monster's name in my presence, Catherine said before the doors opened to reveal Naruto, his mother and Goliath. All was silent as the trio approached the princess as Goliath flared his wings before bowing to the princess. Your pardon, your highness. I took the liberty of asking them to appear and be recognized for their bravery. The captain said. Captain, we are most seriously displeased. To allow beasts in the dining hall. The princess said, standing from her seat. You speak wisely, princess, these are unnatural creatures. No good can come from associating with their kind. The magus said in agreement. Hey, why you gotta talk about the dogs like that, what did they do to you? Naruto asked, getting a few laughs from the people in the room. We named you well, Goliath, you're as powerful a soldier as the great Philistine giant who fought David, the captain said as he was very literate as well as a warrior. You would do well to remember that the biblical Goliath was also a bully and a savage, Catherine said as she often associated that description with the gargoyle. Naruto growled as his eyes glowed, as did his mother's. Excuse us, your majesty, Goliath said, taking his family outside. Captain, I ask that any further decisions be sent to my advisor the magus, not directly to me, Catherine said to him commandingly and sternly. You're lucky we protect you, Naruto growled at them. You do well to remember we tolerate you only, abomination, magus said as there was often talk of Naruto being the one to replace him and he hated that thought. And you do well to remember I'm not limited to the night, Naruto said before leaving, catching up to his parents. They dare mock us. We save their lives and they repay us with contempt, Naruto's mother shouted in pure rage. She is right, Goliath. Your kind deserves better. The captain said as they had helped and fought alongside them, which made them brothers in arms. It's merely how they are. They fear what they do not understand. Goliath said calmly and sagefully as he had seen both the good and bad of humans and knew there was much more to them. I understand that, they've surely been fearing me ever since I could become a gargoyle, Naruto said as ever since his turning, people feared him and alienated him. And what of our son? He serves to protect them as one of their knights and is met with treatment like that, his mother said angrily as that infuriated her most of all. Don't worry, mother, I've accepted what I've become, and if humans don't accept that, then to hell with them. Naruto said, waving it off. Sometimes I think our brother speaks truthfully, his mother said to him. Oh uncle, I don't like him, out of all the members of the clan he's the one I dislike, Naruto said as his uncle could be a lot at times. Oh little Maelstrom, you wound this old man's heart. The brother of Naruto's mother walked into the hallway. He was the younger of the siblings and was among their strongest warriors alongside Goliath and his own brother. Why I had the beasts teach you the language of my BRTH land is beyond me, Naruto said to him. Oh stop, I'm just teasing a little, his uncle said, ruffling Naruto's hair a little roughly. Brother, where were you this night? His mother asked, wondering where her sibling was, as like her son he created mischief, but her brother's mischief was more harmful than Naruto's playful nature. Oh that, I wasn't among the group as I was dealing with a band of Vikings that tried coming from the back of the castle, her brother said to her. All by yourself? Naruto asked, finding that a little hard to believe. Do you mock my skills, nephew? His uncle asked. No, Naruto said before walking away with his family. That boy always makes things interesting. The uncle said with a chuckle, his eyes flaring light purple as he watched the family walk away. I wonder what kind of game I can play with these new toys, he set his mind thinking of many scenarios in which he'd entertain himself. When morning came, a white-robed stranger left the castle and went to the Viking camp, striking a bargain with Hakon. The next night, he swore he'd be back. Goliath, you should take your gargoyles and chase him off for good, the captain said to them. I agree, beloved, we can't run the risk of the Vikings returning as we sleep, Naruto's mother said, as when a threat knew what they were facing they'd be smarter, and a smarter enemy was a dangerous enemy. No, it's too risky, I can scare away those cowards without any help, Goliath said as he wanted the Vikings far away from his home. But that's too risky for you, Naruto's mother said in worry for her love, not wanting him to fight all by himself. Send me, I can wipe them all out myself. Naruto said, clutching his fist as he cracked his knuckles. No, my son, you are needed to defend the castle should day come, Goliath said as he always felt Naruto would one day take his position and lead the Gargoyles. But father, Naruto tried to argue, wanting to accompany him. You heard the man, he swore he'd be back, can you really take the chance, the captain said again a little more forcefully. Aye lad, if we do nothing we risk another attack, the elder said. True, I will take you with me, old friend, I will need your tracking skills, Goliath said with a smile at his most trusted friend. I will go too, Naruto's mother said, wanting to accompany Goliath and also wanted to fight their enemies. No, the others will need you while I am away, remember we are as one, now and forever, Goliath said before kissing her before walking away to prepare. By Odin, I hope I never end up like those two. Naruto groaned as that was cheesy and way too sappy. Knowing your luck, you and whoever you meet will be worse, Kurama said as Naruto seemed to have a taste for strong independent women in a class of their own thanks to his mother's influence, he was guessing. Later. We see the large blue gargoyle stuffing his face with food as the red and gold one were tossing a chunk of meat back and forth, keeping it away from the dog as Naruto's mother watched. As they played, a small blonde boy approached them. I'm Tom, what's your name? He asked politely, his childish curiosity showing. Besides Goliath and Naruto, we really don't have names, the gold one said to him politely. How do you tell each other apart? Tom asked curiously. We look different, the gold one said to him. But what do you call each other? Tom asked curious. Friend, brother or sister, or aunt and uncle, the red-skinned one said. Suddenly Tom's mother came. Tom. Stay away from him, you beasts, she said to them. We wouldn't harm the boy, ma'am. The red gargoyle said calmly and friendly. Stay away, the mother said before throwing the wooden stick at him. Hey! Naruto yelled as he walked over. It is you who is the beast, his mother said as she floated down. No, if they think us monsters, maybe we should live up to the name, the gold one said before they began growling at the humans. What is it, are we under attack again? The chubby gargoyle shouted in worry. Wait, now let's just dash, Naruto was saying before Goliath and the elder floated down. You three down to the rookery until I return and take him with you, Goliath said as he pointed at the dog. The four went to the gates of the rookery, where the gargoyles kept their eggs. We meant no harm. The red gargoyle said to him lightly. Goliath said nothing before they entered it. Are you blind, brother? The humans were at fault, not them. Naruto's uncle said to him angrily. He's right, why punish them for simply defending themselves? Naruto argued, finding that to be an injustice. I cannot condone fighting with their people, I will find a way to make it up to them later, Goliath said. I still say I should come with you, that way we can be certain to rid us of that Samhaken. Naruto argued, wanting to go with his father, as if there was one trait he gained from his mother, it was her longing for battle. Son, you are the greatest warrior we have and the only one that can fight day and night besides the beasts. I am trusting you to guard our family and the humans while I am away, can I trust you to do this? Goliath said to him in an almost pleading tone of voice. I understand, but I don't like it. Naruto said to him begrudgingly. I know, my son, Goliath said before he and the elder flew off. Morning. Naruto was awakened by the sound of shouting, and when he ran outside he found the tailed beasts getting restrained with chains of iron, the only alloy that nullified their powers. What the hell? Naruto shouted only to feel a prick at the back of his neck. When Naruto looked up he saw the captain. Why do this? Why betray your kind? Hakken asked him. They're not my kind, the captain said angrily, looking at the people of the castle. 30 minutes later. Naruto groaned as he woke up only to find himself restrained with iron chains canceling his magic and stopping him from transforming. Are you sure he can't break those? Hakken asked the captain. Iron takes away all his powers, he's as helpless as a mouse, the captain said to him. Why? I trusted you, you were like a second father to me, you taught me to use a sword, to be a knight. Naruto shouted in anger, wanting to rip these chains off and strangle the man with them. I told your father to take you and the gargoyles with him, only if he listened, the captain said. Now to tie up some loose ends, Hakken said as he approached a gargoyle and raised his mace only for the captain to stop him. What are you doing? In mere moments they'll be flesh again and my men will be at their mercy, he said. They won't follow once you and your men are out of sight, it's not in their nature. The captain argued. Oh, Hakken said before knocking him over. Naruto struggled all he could trying to free himself, but he was forced to watch as Hakken began shattering the gargoyle statues. It wasn't supposed to be like this, the captain said sadly, showing signs of remorse and sadness. When I get free I am going to tear your soul out of dash, Naruto was saying before Hakken kicked him in the face, making Naruto spit out a little blood. Enough out of you, freak, Hakken said before his men began to drg Naruto and the tailed beasts away. What are you doing? The captain said, gripping Hakken by the collar. More heads to pay for, the king will surely pay a handsome price for not only his niece but also her greatest weapons as well, Hakken said as he pushed the captain off. The captain had no choice but to follow Hakken as they left. That night. No, Goliath said as he saw the castle landing where his angel of the night rested. Angel of the night, he said before let out a mournful howl of pain and sadness. These bow strings were cut, there was betrayal here, the elder said as he looked over a bow looking closely at the string. The trio and the dog opened the doors to the rookery to see what happened. Were there any more down in the rookery? Goliath asked in slight hope, but deep down knew that they were possibly the only ones. No, where's Naruto and the beasts? The red one asked, looking around thinking Naruto would have been around. The humans are all gone, taken captive no doubt. The elder said, hoping Naruto was among them. They must have taken Naruto and the others as well, the green one said, eager to go find him. Then we will go, we will save the humans and the last of our family, and we will have our revenge. Goliath said as the 5 gargoyles took off into the sky towards the Vikings and their revenge. Unknown to Goliath and his clan, a cloaked figure hid within the rubble of the castle, a dark smirk spreading over their face. Kukuku, this game is just getting more and more amusing. What will you do now, Goliath? Keep true to your foolish sympathy to humans or be the ferocious beast they say you are. The cloaked figure said with a chuckle. At the Vikings camp. We see the refugees and all that weren't killed defending the castle all huddled together into one group. My friends the gargoyles will come, mother, Tom said to his weeping mother, confident that they'd be safe. No, the gargoyles were destroyed, Tom, his mother said to her son, wishing she had been more respectful, thinking this was her punishment for being so cruel to them. Meanwhile in a cave we see Hakken and the captain looking at the princess and the magus. The magus is worth more alive barely, Hakken said with a chuckle seeing the man squirm. But we're sure your uncle the king will pay a hefty price to see his niece returned alive, the captain said as he looked at the princess. You blackguards, if only I had my book of spells. The magus said in anger. Would you be referring to this book, magus? Hakken asked, holding his book, Magic Spells. Makes me glad I can't read, he said as he tore a page out and burned it. I'll see you both hang for this. Catherine said in anger. Hakken closed the spell book and stood up. Silence, princess, or it's your neck, he said threateningly. Soon the screams of Hakken's men were heard alongside the roar of the gargoyles. I thought you said they wouldn't come after us, Hakken said, looking at the captain in a combination of fear and anger. If you hadn't shattered the others and kidnapped his son and their friends. The captain said. Seems your gargoyles have come for you, princess, Hakken said to her as he was panicking. The gargoyles? You're a dead man, Hakken, Catherine said, feeling much more confident and relieved. Maybe, but not before you, Hakken said as he pulled out a knife. Catherine struggled to get free. Wait please someone, he's going to slay her, princess. The magus said, calling for help, fearing the worst as Catherine ran. Naruto looked as the dog bit through his chains, freeing him, allowing him to change. You are all mine. he shouted as he grabbed a Viking by the head before smashing the man's head in his grip. Naruto quickly freed the tailed beasts who began to give aid. A man tried to stab Naruto only to hit his shield, shattering his sword. "Sorry pal, armor and shield are magically enhanced to be indestructible," he said before grabbing a piece of the sword and stabbed the man through the chest. From above, Goliath noticed the princess running away before swooping down while the others handled the Vikings. The large green one grabbed a turkey that was cooking over a fire before smacking a Viking man with it. With the tailed beasts they quickly took care of the Viking, Shikaku swiping one aside with his tail while Matatabi breathed her flames, Kokuo running through a crowd of Vikings. Goku tossed boulder after boulder at them invaders who slayed his gargoyle brethren. With no time the Viking men that survived ran away. "Yes, victory!" the chubby gargoyle cheered. Suddenly the Magus came out of the cave holding the Grimorum Arcanorum, looking angry. "You fools, she'd be alive if not for you," he said in anger. "What's he talking about?" the gold one asked, not understanding what he meant. "They would have ransomed us both, but no, you had to invade their camp," the Magus said to them. "What is this? Where's the princess?" the elder asked curiously. "Dead. Oh, and if I could wield the sword I'd send you down with her, but this will have to do," the Magus said as he stopped on a spell. "If you were waiting to be ransomed, what would have happened to all these people?" Naruto said angrily, looking at the Magus as he was more worried about a princess that didn't sit right for him, as the Magus was basically saying he was more concerned for himself and the princess than the people. "Dormiatus dum castellum super noobs ascendat," the Magus said, casting the spell, paying no heed to Naruto's words. The gargoyles and the beasts looked as magic circled around them. With Goliath. Goliath lands to see Hakken and the captain. "You are the betrayer," he said, shocked to know it was the very captain that betrayed him and his clan. "I told you to take the other gargoyles with you if you'd only listened," the captain said, pleading. "All of my kind are dead, and now you shall join them," Goliath said, angry. "He's the one you want, he shattered them," Hakken said, pointing at the captain. "You lying sum," the captain shouted, grabbing at Hakken, wanting to end him. The two wrestled before beginning to go over the side, leaving Goliath only enough time to catch the princess. Goliath looked down to see Hakken and the captain falling to the dark below. "I have been denied everything, even my revenge," he shouted, his voice echoing for miles. "Goliath, Catherine was saying. "Goliath, you have to come save your friends," Tom said as he ran over to them. Few seconds later. Goliath looked as the remaining members of the Wyvern clan were turned to stone. "They are stone at night. What sorcery is this?" he shouted, his anger ever rising. "Sorcery indeed, and now you shall join them," Magus said, ready to do the spell again. Goliath growled at him as Catherine approached the statues. "Princess," he said, shocked seeing her alive and well. "Oh Magus, what have you done?" Catherine said in shock. The Magus dropped to the ground. "I thought you dead, I was mad with grief," he said before Goliath picked him up. "Reverse the spell, bring them back," he shouted in pure rage. "I cannot." The page with the counter curse was burned, Magus said as Goliath dropped him. "Now I truly am alone," Goliath said in sadness, walking up to his son frozen in stone. "You turned them to stone forever?" Catherine asked, wondering if there was any way to undo this, as she owed the gargoyles her life and more for her disrespect toward them. The terms of the spell were that they would sleep until the castle rose above the clouds, Magus said, sadly regretting what he had done. "Oh Goliath, I am so sorry," Catherine said, feeling much grief within herself. Tom picked up Naruto's shield and looked at him. "What can we do for you?" Catherine asked Goliath, willing to do anything he asked. "There is something you can do," Goliath said to them, making up his mind. Few minutes later. Goliath stood in his place on the castle as he placed the beasts and the gargoyles on the tower. Down below, Tom, his mother, and the Magus were loading the gargoyle eggs into wagons. "The eggs will hatch soon, they will need guidance," Goliath said to them. "We'll look after them as if they were our own," Catherine said, having a new respect for the species. "Oh Goliath, I wish there was something I could do to make up for the terrible deed I have done," the Magus said as he approached, feeling terrible. Actually, there is something you can do. Cast your spell one more time, Goliath said to them. The princess and the others left with the eggs as Goliath was turned to stone, and there where the castle was. He and the others slept with him standing next to his son. As the princess and her people left with the eggs, leaving the castle empty with only the statues of the Wyvern clan and the tailed beast remaining, the cloaked figure emerged looking up at the petrified statues. Well, sleep until the castle rises above the clouds. Kukuku, I have a feeling things will only get much more interesting. The game is far from over. The cloaked figure said as his eyes glowed light purple. He looked up to see a familiar red-haired gargoyle hovering over to the castle landing beside Naruto and Goliath. Right on time. Let's see what kind of new toys I can play with, he said laughing maniacally. 1,000 years later. A man approached the castle, now covered in vines and dust, and he then ran inside and up the stairs to see the statues of Naruto and Goliath. Yes, make the offer now, Owen, he said to a blonde-haired, glasses-wearing man who wore a suit. Need I remind you that the cost of this will be astronomical? Mr. Zanato's and the locals think this place is haunted, Owen said as he pulled out a phone. You know the answer to that, Owen. Pay a man enough and he'll walk barefoot into hell, Zanato said. And so for the next few hours men using machines began to take the castle apart, concrete block by concrete block, putting the gargoyles and the beasts into crates. Later that day before nightfall in Manhattan. A helicopter flew over the castle now as it sat atop a skyscraper as Zanato stood wearing a coat. Watched, you better not disappoint, he said looking at the castle. As the sun went down the clouds seemed to go over the tower making it rain and lightning flashed as the gargoyles and beasts began to crack up. Goliath stood up and let out a loud roar as he awakened the others following one by one. Yes. Zanato said in excitement. Naruto's eyes flared red as he shattered his stone skin alongside the tailed beasts as they roared looking around. Goliath floated down to the others as did Naruto and the beasts. You're awake, you're alive, we're together again, he said happily as he and his son hugged. The group cheered before looking below to see the city of Manhattan. What the heck? Shikaku said in surprise. Much has changed since we've been asleep. Matatabi said as she scratched her ear. What is this? Where are we? The elder said more to himself. You are the one called Goliath? Xantos asked walking up to the Wyvern clan. Yes. Goliath said not knowing who this man was. Excellent, Xanatos said sounding very pleased. Inside the castle. How long has it been? Goliath asked looking around. This may come as a shock, but 1,000 years have passed since the spell was cast, Xanatos said, shocking the clan. I learned about the castle and you all from an ancient book that recently came into my possession. The magus who cursed you wrote your story down inside it, he said. How did you break the spell? The elder asked him wanting to know. The conditions of the spell was to go on until the castle rose above the clouds, Xanatos said explaining to them the requirements on how he broke the curse. The eggs down in the rookery, the gold one asked not knowing their fate. Gone, you all are the last of your kind, Xanatos said to them. Why have you done all this? Goliath asked knowing everyone had a motive. I was fascinated about the magus story and wanted to see if it was true, and now that it's true I'd like to be your friend. There is much we could do for each other, Goliath, Xanatos said. Such as? Naruto asked skeptically when they suddenly heard a noise coming from the outside. That's weird, I'm not expecting anyone, Xanatos said as he left the room. You'll be safer if you stay here, he said to them assuringly. Xanato walked out to the balcony to see a helicopter setting down with several armed troops jumping out. Who are you? Xantos asked, narrowing his eyes. You'll know soon enough. The head of soldiers said as they raised their rifles. What's going on? Who are these people? The gold one said. They're attacking the castle, that's all we need to know. The elder said as he and Naruto drawed their weapons as they roared and charged. Let's crush them. Goku shouted wanting some action. I'm with you, brother. Gyuki agreed as they jumped along the wall, swiping the soldiers aside with their tails. Naruto roared as he fired lightning at the soldiers who ran trying to dodge them. One the soldiers stepped back firing off several bullets at Matatabi only to phase right through her body. Even in 1,000 years fools don't learn. She growled before pouncing at her enemy. Naruto swiped away one soldier before slamming the blade into cheek, knocking out several of his teeth before kicking one away. Another tried shooting him but he quickly deflecting them with his sword and the others just bounced off of his magically enhanced armor. Kurama swung his tails, summoning a fearsome storm of wind pushing some men back into the wall. Chomei grabbed a soldier by his shoulders dropping him onto 3 more. The gargoyles caught some sphere object before the gold one tossed it aside only for it to explode. These weapons, we must be battling sorcerers, the elder said calculatively. Who cares? We have to fight, this is our home. Goku shouted landing beside the elder punching away several soldiers. Yes, it's all we have left, Naruto said to them as he and the others fought. Well said. Kokuo agreed, galloping through the castle as Naruto jumped onto her back. Got M. A man said running out of the castle holding something as the people jumped into the helicopter. Cowards. Naruto said yelling at the retreating foes. Thank you, I wouldn't have been able to send them off without you, Zenatto said sounding grateful. The last person who told us that was someone we trusted like one of our own, and then betrayed the clan. Naruto said. I see working to gain your trust is something I'll have to work at, Zenatto said as he took out a phone. Oh, and get a cleanup crew out here, he said. Why were you attacked? Goliath asked wanting to know the reason why those men attacked this one. I'm a very rich man, and the richer you are the more enemies you gain, Zenatto said to them as that was possibly the truest thing he had said at that point. That is a concept we can understand, Kurama said as people were always greedy always wanting more and more. Living here we could defend it together, my money and your strength we could do many great things, Zenatto said trying to appeal to them. Know this, outside of my son, I speak for all of us when I say we will never trust another human again, Goliath said to him still angry after the last betrayal he suffered. I see that I'll have my work cut out for me, Zenatto said as he walked away. The group then split going off to do their own thing, the trio headed off to the kitchen, the elder and the dog went off to do whatever as did Goliath. Naruto stared off to the city below with the tailed beasts, his mind racing back to his days growing up in Castle Wyvern with his gargoyle family. His uncle and aunt showing him the many sights around this castle. Watching over the eggs, wondering what new brothers and sisters he would meet. He remembered one he took special care of sensing a familiar sense from it like the one he got from his parents no doubt it was their own hatchling. A brother or sister he would never know. He looked on at the shining city before him upon the very perch he would gaze off with his mother. Can you really say you can never trust another human? Isabu asked. Wondering if Naruto was serious with what he said. I've seen where that got me. Naruto said with a cold tone recalling the scorn his clan suffered, betrayed by those they trusted and trapped in stone for 1,000 years. Losing his mother. But this is a new time, and we need allies we can't stay up here all our lives, Chomei said as he floated to Naruto's shoulder. Watch me, Naruto said to him. The tailed beasts groaned as they walked away. Naruto removed his helmet allowing his hair to be able to flow with the wind. He then looked down before hiding as he saw Zenatto's talking to a woman his age. She had dark tan skin with high DD cup melons, an athletic and curvy build, and thick round peach. She had long dark blue almost bluish hair, and wore a red leather jacket over a tight black shirt and tight jeans. The woman glances at him making him hide in a tower. Zenatto's and the woman left for the elevator after Owen told them something but when the woman entered the elevator she came back out after Owen walked away. As the woman exited the top of one of the towers the dog growled at her making her back up. Why are you trespassing? Naruto said spooking her causing her to fall over the side. Naruto leapt off after her transforming into his gargoyle form and catches her. Wow, the woman said in surprise. Naruto landed on the side of a building and put her down. Why were you in my castle? He asked curiously changing back to human having no fear of heights. Why, you had wings, the woman said in shock. Yes, thank you for stating the obvious, Naruto said with a teasing smile, seeing her knees shake from fear and nervousness. He then sighed. Here, he said, extending his hand, which she eagerly took, and soon had him throw her on his back and begin to climb. The woman whimpered as she looked down, seeing the fall that they could take. I won't drop you, trust me, I've been climbing cliffs and walls since I was small. Naruto said as he knew how to climb as a human, always climbing walls and other surfaces. It took at least an hour, but they reached the castle where the dog stood waiting for them. He won't hurt you. Now why were you trespassing in our castle, and please don't fall off the building again, Naruto said with a teasing smile as he looked at her. With the others. You all made a fine mess of that kitchen, the elder said to the trio. Hey, who's that up there with Naruto? The gold one said, looking in Naruto's direction. The group of gargoyles looked up to see Naruto with a human. So 1,000 years ago you were betrayed by the only human you trusted and were frozen in a spell, the woman said to him in surprise, wrapping her mind around magic and the like. Naruto, what are you doing? Goliath asked his son, looking at the human. Easy, father, Naruto said to him calmly. Is this a new friend, Naruto? The red-skinned one asked, sniffing her. This is Alisa Maza, a detective. Naruto said to them, introducing her. Second class, NYPD, Alisa said, showing her badge, but quickly realized it didn't hold as much power of the beings in front of her. What exactly does a detective do, lass? The elder asked curiously, wondering what the word meant. Well, it's my job to find out the person who committed a crime and then place him under arrest, Alisa said, trying to explain it the best she could. And who says who committed a crime? Naruto asked curiously. Well, we have a justice system, laws and rules that the people decide, Alisa said, as it was up to the people in which she served to help shape the law which she enforced. You mean the humans decide, Naruto said before he noticed the sun was beginning to come up. You must go, he said to her, not trusting her with his family's secret. Wait, will I see you again? I'd like to know more about you. Look, you saved my life, I owe you. Alisa said, let me help you understand this city. You need to know how it works, she said. Yes, we will meet on that rooftop, Naruto said as he pointed at the building for her. Could I get a free moment in my morning dash, Alisa said. No, tonight, Naruto said firmly. Of course, Alisa said as she walked away. Why did you do that? Kurama asked him curiously. Giving myself as much time as possible, and at night I have my family to watch my back, Naruto said with a smile, getting one in return from the others. Naruto, I understand that you don't trust humans, Gyuki said sagely, but you shouldn't judge all of them by what some have done. There is good as well as bad, he said to him. You mean the same race that I had to be ridiculed by? I still haven't forgotten that you told me when I was brought to that new land my own adopted human father tried to kill me. Naruto said. Naruto, there will come a time that you will have to let go of your hatred of humanity, Kokuo said to him, a little sad he harbored that hatred. Naruto just walked away, making the beast sigh. Naruto, a word, Owen said to him as his boss wanted. Sanato's office. What is it? Daylight comes and I am in eager need of some sleep, Naruto said as he entered with his father. When we were attacked by those men they took 3 discs from me, Sanato said. Discs? Naruto asked as he and Goliath both looked confused. Think of them as tiny talismans that hold 1,000 spells. I need you to help get them back before they crack the codes, unlock the spells inside, Sanato said using more old-timey words. Perhaps you should ask a detective, Goliath said with a smirk as he looked at his son. You're learning. I can't go to the police, I already had to hide tonight's attack by them, I don't want them getting suspicious, Sanato said as he pressed a button making a screen turn on. Amazing, it's like a living tapestry. Goliath said, stunned by the sheer detail. Your naivety is adorable, Sanato said, finding his fascination adorable and humorous. These are the 3 locations that the discs are being held. I need you all to go there to retrieve the discs, he said, explaining it to them. It's not our fight, we chased them off, end of story, Naruto said to him as there were limits to how far they went. And if they use the data to come back with ways to take you out? Please, I need your help, Sanato said as he patted their shoulders. We shall think about it, Naruto said to him as he was driven by honor. As the two left, a door opened showing the silhouette of a figure. Don't worry, everything is going according to plan, Zenitsu said as he planned ahead. The next night. The gargoyle awoken while Naruto went over to them. And where are you three going? Goliath asked the trio curiously. To explore. If we are going to live here we need to know more about it. What's out there, the gold one said. Sounds like fun. Shikaku said, having a psychotic grin planted on his face. I'm up for it. Chomei said in agreement. Yeah, like learning about its people, the red one said. It's food, the green one said. Alright, but stay to the rooftops and stay out of sight, Goliath said. Alright, the trio said as Chomei picked Shikaku up and carried him off, leaving with the others. And you? Goliath asked his son. Off to talk, Naruto said as he flew off. Few minutes later. Alisa walked onto the rooftop. Naruto, she called out as he walked out of a corner in gargoyle form. Whoa, she said to him, still not used to it. I didn't know if you'd bring others, Naruto said to her as he didn't trust Easy. Wow, you're paranoid even for New York, Alisa said as she laughed slightly. The elder and Goliath dropped down behind her. What are you doing here? Naruto asked curiously. Just making sure you weren't getting ambushed, lad, the elder said to him. I can take care of myself, Naruto said to them, letting out a sigh as he learned from him most of his best strategies. Well, knowing you're safe we can return to the castle, Goliath said as they flapped their wings. Coming along for the tour? Goliath and Alisa asked, looking at the elderly gargoyle. Must you humans name everything? Nothing's real until you've named it, given it limits, the elder said, slightly annoyed. Well, it's just things need names, Alisa said as she had no other way to describe it. Does the sky need a name? The river? The elder asked, pointing to the Hudson River. The river's called the Hudson, Alisa said as she chuckled, seeing his baffled look. The elder groaned as he looked at Goliath and Naruto, who just shrugged. Fine, I'll be called the Hudson as well, he said to her, wanting to end this seemingly tiring discussion. Well, are you coming? Naruto asked them, wondering if they wanted to come with them. I may come, perhaps there is something to learn from this, Goliath said. Coming, Hudson? He asked, using his friend's new name. No, now that I know the lad's safe I'll be going back to the castle, Hudson said as he flew back. So can you all change from gargoyle to human? Alisa asked, looking at Naruto curiously. No, just me, I became a gargoyle by magic, Naruto said to her honestly as he found being truthful the better option. Whoa, Alisa said, seeing him do a quick change between the two. So what's it like? She asked, wondering what it was like for someone to live in both worlds. It's fine, Naruto said as he always felt natural in both his forms. Are we going on this tour you promised, or are the two of you just going to stand and talk? Goliath asked, thinking this was the most Naruto ever talked to someone outside the clan or his former inner circle. Oh right, Naruto said as he picked Alisa up and the trio took flight. 2 hours later. Naruto had to admit he was having fun on this guided tour as he just stopped some thugs from robbing someone. You seem pretty natural at this, Alisa said as she was glad to know that her new friend wasn't the type to maim. In my time I was a knight, so fighting off some like this is like second nature to me, Naruto said as he smiled. Alisa thought it was actually impressive to meet an actual knight, considering they were the first law men, and it felt like she had Naruto's respect in that regard. 1 hour later. Animals really seem to like you, Alisa said as she saw birds on his head and squirrels on his shoulder. They always have, I don't know why, Naruto said as he shook the animals off him, seeing his father laugh at him as this was a normal occurrence. So what was it like growing up with gargoyles? Alisa asked as he mentioned he was still human till he was a child, so she wondered what it was like from his perspective. It was all I knew. A sage took me from my BRTH home and took me there, as I was still a baby. The human father of the family that took me and read a scroll telling of my fate, saying how I was to become a savior or a destroyer. Fear gripped him as he let Vikings into the village, where he tried taking me out, but the human mother saved me and killed both. With her dying breath she asked Goliath and my true mother to watch over me, Naruto said. Savior or destroyer? Alisa asked curiously. Basically, I can save or doom the world, Naruto said to her in a simple tone, seeing her worry slightly as she was still coming to terms of things of a magical nature. He hates the sage, putting some fate over him when all he wants was to live in peace, Goliath said as he understood his son's anger for the man, basically saying his life had a singular purpose and that purpose was something Naruto didn't even want. He robbed me from my BRTH home, probably as part of his prophecy. I do not know why, but I will get my answers should I ever see him again, Naruto said as he had a feeling the man was still alive or around in some way. So if you did have a choice, what would it be? Alisa asked, not even capable of understanding his point of view. I am a knight, honor bound to protect the innocent, that is the path I have chosen, is to live by honor. Naruto said to her with a small smile, just look at all this, he said, motioning to the trees and animals around them. All life is sacred and should be protected, he said to her with a smile. So do you really hate this sage? Alisa asked curiously. Yes, he tried to place me on a path he wanted for himself, I will never forgive him for that. My life is my own to choose, not someone else, Naruto said, not liking the thought of being someone's pawn. They continued to stroll around the park until they heard something bounce off Naruto's armor. Get down, Alisa said as she knew full well that was a projectile and soon saw a needle. Ah, Goliath growled as he was hit and pulled out the needle, looking at it. Darts, they're probably filled with sedatives, Alisa said as she was actually hoping for that since the alternative was poison. Thankfully my armor protects me from all matter of threats, Naruto said. Even armor has blind spots, Alisa said to him as she knew from experience that protection wasn't absolute and was limited. I know, my armor has openings in certain spots, which is why I magically enhanced the armor that covers me, Naruto said as he wasn't a complete idiot. May ask for some of those enchantments, Alisa said, coming to terms with what she said as they were being shot at. Naruto glanced behind him before quickly drawed his sword, moving in a blur, deflecting bullets. You'll have to be quicker than that to get me, he said to them, then looked at his father, seeing him sway. We need to go, he said, also noticing his internal clock told him dawn was close approaching. Any ideas? Alisa asked, not liking her odds as she saw Naruto carry Goliath, who was drugged and woozy. 1 on 3, not my kinda odds, she thought to herself. Naruto put his hand to his mouth and blew, making smoke. Now run, he said as they ran through the smoke. They were able to put some distance between them and their pursuers. We need to heal, Naruto said as a needle nicked his face and he got some of the DRGS. How did they find us? Goliath said. Alisa decided to search them and soon pulled something out from Naruto's armor and from Goliath's clothing. They were tracking you, she said as they knew the exact general area. She then looked over and saw a dog and walked over to it and put the tracers on it. Now go, she said, seeing the dog run off, getting the men following them off her back for a few minutes. Let's go, Naruto said to her as he picked up his father and looked back, seeing the dark skies gain a pinkish red color. We have a few moments, Dad, he said, stepping off the path and sat next to his father. A few moments for what? Alisa asked curiously. Helpless during the day, no defense at sunrise, Goliath said in his DRG-fueled state. What happens at sunrise? Alisa asked in wonder. You will see, Naruto said to her as the sun's light shined on them as they then turned to stone. Whoa, Alisa said as she stared in awe and just watched. 12 hours later. Naruto smiled as he broke free from his stone prison. Should have changed back, he thought, as it was a small gamble seeing as how he was still drugged. Oh, you're still here, he asked, seeing Alisa, and quickly turned human. You okay? He asked, seeing she looked a little more scuffed than when he left her. Nothing I couldn't handle, Alisa said as she handled the men after they turned to stone. You stayed with us throughout the day? Goliath asked, surprised, having much more respect for her. Yeah, let's get out of here, Naruto said, changing back to a gargoyle, picking her up as they then glided off back to the castle. Few minutes later. Good to see you both back safe, Hudson said, seeing the father-son duo return. You can put me down now, Alisa asked as was still being carried and slightly clutching him as flying was still new to her. Sorry, Naruto said as he placed her down and changed back to human. Been spending more time as a human, lad, Hudson said to him as Naruto usually stuck to gargoyle form even back then. "Ah, shut it," Naruto said. "With Zanatos." "I wonder," Zanatos said looking at a camera rewinding and playing Naruto switching between forms, "does he have the same weakness as the gargoyles?" he asked himself as it was an impressive sight thinking of a man who could change between man and beast wondering if there was any drawbacks. "Owen find me some people to falsify papers, records, and all the other documents," he said to his loyal assistant. "Right away sir," Owen said as what his boss asked seemed pretty tame. "This gift will make him much easier to track and monitor," Zanatos said as he was giving Naruto this gift as a means to track him. "I've made the necessary calls sir," Owen said as he was very efficient. Few hours later. "What do you want?" Naruto asked as he was in Zanatos' office still in human form as he knew Zanatos knew who he was from what he knew of his father and their story. "Sun is nearly up, do you have the time?" Zanatos asked asking another indirect question. "I'm fine," Naruto said as he could stay awake for days on end and just need a single night of sleep to do it again. "Interesting, here are gift cards papers, you are now Naruto Wyvern," Zanatos said knowing enough about Naruto to know he'd like the name. "What is this?" Naruto asked him curiously. "A way for you to be able to operate in the city, get a car, buy some groceries, anything. Don't worry about how much money, all this is all you'll ever need," Zanatos said as he set up a bank account for Naruto and knew Naruto wouldn't do any real harm with it as he seemed more tamed compared to the other gargoyles. "1. What is a car, and 2. How am I supposed to get it?" Naruto asked him curiously. "There's a test you take, Owen can set you up with all that you'll need," Zanatos said as being rich had many perks. "Oh, and one more surprise," he said to him as he pressed a button opening a door. "What?" Naruto said. A figure was standing in the doorway. "Hello my son," the red-headed gargoyle said walking from out the shadows having a truly happy smile on her face. "Mother?" Naruto said as he dropped everything Zanatos gave him and ran to her and embraced her. "You're alive," he said overcome with joy. "Yes my little gargoyle," Naruto's mother said as she hugged him fiercely wanting to make the hug last. 1 hour later. Naruto smiled seeing his newly named brothers and friends celebrate the arrival of his mother and felt so happy to have more family amongst them. "How are you Naruto?" his mother asked him wanting to know how he was acclimating. "I'm fine mother, perfectly fine," Naruto said honestly. "Can I ask you something?" he asked her, his tone sounding less happy. "Yes," his mother asked curiously. "How long have you actually been here?" Naruto asked as he didn't believe Zanatos when he said he recently revived her as his mother seemed too familiar with the environment and Zanatos' home. "You certainly didn't get your keen eye from your father," his mother said as she let out a sigh. "Far too long. When I found you all turned to stone I searched out for the Magus and begged him to do the same to me. Zanatos found me first and as such he brought you all back to me," she said as she gave him all the information wanting Zanatos to find her son and lover hoping by some miracle he'd bring them back to her. "Whatever the case may be I am glad you are alive," Naruto said as he hugged her. "I've heard the others have taken names," his mother asked her curiously. "Yeah, would you like one as well?" Naruto asked her curiously as to what she'd pick and wondered what her choice would be. "I already chose a name for myself, Demona," she said with a smile as she liked it as it was both fierce and appealing. "Okay," Naruto said not really understanding why she chose that name but accepted it all the same. "Oh my angel of the night, it is good to hold you in my arms again," Goliath said running to his lover holding her close to him. "The same to me Goliath," Demona said leaning into the embrace as if trying to pull him closer. "Zanatos brought us back together, we should repay him, help him," she said. "Yes of course," Goliath said as he felt honor-bound to do this. Naruto still felt a little troubled by this as his instincts were telling him this was a bad idea. Few hours later. "How'd you get my number?" Alisa said in surprise as when she picked up her phone she wasn't expecting Naruto. "I used this weird yellow book and found your name in it," Naruto said as he asked Zanato's assistant and he gave him the book and told him to search by last name. "That's a phone book, wait how'd you get a phone anyway?" Alisa asked raising a brow. "Owen gave it to me, Zanatos has freaky tech," Naruto said to her as he was acclimating quickly. "So what's up?" Alisa asked wondering why he'd call her. "The sky." Naruto asked, not understanding the question. Alisa laughed at this. I mean, what do you need or why did you call, she said as she had to admit that was funny. I've got a bad feeling about what we're about to do. Do me a favor and look up that logo of those things you pulled off of us the other night, Naruto said to her as he looked at his stone parents. I don't like to take unnecessary risks, he said as he felt Zanato's was playing at something else with the mission. I'll see what I can do, Alisa said as tracing a symbol took time. Thanks. Now how do you turn this thing off? Naruto said. Hit the red button twice, Alisa said as she didn't want him to leave his line on pressing it once. Oh, Naruto said as he pressed it twice and no longer heard anything. Half an hour later. I don't know, father, I have a bad feeling about this, Naruto said as he flew with his parents to some flying fortress. Perhaps it's an allergic reaction to all those noodles you've been eating, Goliath said as his son had taken to eating with Broadway in the kitchen. Sorry, Alisa got me hooked on them, Naruto said as he took her home once and offered him something to eat the moment she heard his stomach growled and all she had was ramen. Who's Alisa? Demona asked curiously. A human friend, Naruto said to her. More than that I bet, Lexington said with a chuckle. Oh, shut up and go to your target before I bop you out of the sky, Naruto said. Okay, Grumpy, Brooklyn said as Lexington and Broadway left for their target as did Hudson and Bronx. Tell me about this. Human, Demona asked Goliath once they were out of earshot of their son. A gang of humans tried attacking us in the park. They injected me with something that made me weak but only slowed Naruto down. She stayed with us throughout the day as we slept in the stone sleep, Goliath said to her, explaining to her what had happened. Demona felt slightly annoyed that Naruto had a human companion, but from what she heard she was a little less annoyed as she had to respect the human for staying with her lover and son. 10 minutes later. Okay, we're at this flying behemoth now, how do we get in? Naruto asked curiously. Use your head, Goliath said with a smirk. Okay, Naruto said with a shrug as he slammed his head against the ship, putting a hole in it. Well, that worked, and ow, he said, rubbing his forehead. He didn't mean it literally, Demona said with a light laugh as her son may have been smart but he was still thick-headed. Naruto put his arms to the hole, widening it to allow them through. Now which way? Goliath asked curiously as he looked at the hallway. Follow me, Demona said as they followed her lead. Hold it right there. Guard said, holding up his rifle. You won't fire those guns in here, you could damage the airship. Demona said as her eyes glow red. Don't bet your life on it, monster. The guard warned. Stay back, he said, willing to pull the trigger. It's too risky. Goliath warned his lover as he felt the risk was too great. Naruto looked above him and saw pipes before yanking them out, making a smokescreen. The guard tried to find them but the smoke was too thick, but Naruto came from behind and knocked him out with a punch. The gun may alert the others, we should hurry. Goliath said. Both he and Naruto looked on in shock as Demona grabbed the guard by his collar and held him over the city. Mother, what are you doing? Naruto asked in urgency as that seemed excessive. Tying up loose ends, Demona said, her eyes glowing red. No, to kill in the heat of battle is one thing but not like this. Goliath said to her as he had taken his fair share of lives and knew there was nothing good or honorable from this. Mother, please, Naruto said, trying to reach out to her, not wanting her to be this. Demona sighed as she threw the guard to the side. I'd say the centuries have made you soft, Goliath, she said to him. Hey, I hate humans as much as the next gargoyle, but they don't deserve an end like that. Where is the honor in it? Naruto said as he liked to do things on his terms. Come on, we have a mission to complete, Demona said as she walked on. Naruto looked at her with worry. His mother had been untrusting of humans but she'd never gone this far. Before long they came to a door which Naruto forced open. Surrender the disc, humans, he said. Stay back, freak, man said in fear. Naruto growled as his eyes flashed white and lightning cracked over his hands. Goliath charged in and knocked the guns from their hands and knocked them over. Mission accomplished, Demona said, holding the disc before they watched as she ran her hand through the machine and yanked out a cord before stabbing it into the computer. Mother, what have you done? Naruto shouted as flames started to spread over the laboratory. This ship is coming down. Come on. Demona said in urgency, caring about their safety. No, we can't just leave them, Goliath said, as even though he had his problems he'd not condemn people to certain death. Father, we don't have a choice at this point, Naruto said, pulling him along. The family leapt out of the ship and watched as it crashed into the bay. Mother, why did you do that? You could have killed everyone on that ship, Naruto said, a little heated. Because if I hadn't they would have came after us and used all their weapons on us, Demona said. You don't know for sure, Naruto said. What's done is done, we have finished our task, now to return to the castle, Goliath said, breaking the fight up. Minutes later, back at the castle. Thank you, the information on these discs will be kept safe in my hands, Minato said happily. Naruto left the room. Where are you going? Demona asked, wondering what her son's destination was. To see my human friend, Naruto said to her, his temper slightly elevated. I don't know how you can be friends with a human after what they did to our kind, Demona said. Mother, we can't go to war against an entire race, besides the ones who did that have been dead for 1,000 years, Naruto said. Then their descendants should pay, I will have BLD for BLD, Demona said. That's uncle talking, mother, don't throw away your heart for revenge. Trust me, I've been there and I don't want to see anyone else I love be there either, Naruto said before leaving. Demona could only look down with shame in her eyes. Naruto arrived on a nearby rooftop where Alisa stood waiting. What's wrong, Alisa? Naruto asked her curiously. 3 cyberboics installations have reported robberies by some kind of creatures. And I saw you, Goliath, and another gargoyle flying away from the plan wreck. What's this all about, Naruto? Alisa asked, wanting answers, trying to settle this as calmly as possible. Minato claimed those discs were stolen from him and we returned them to him. But I suspect that you found out something more to it, haven't you? Naruto asked, wanting to be filled in as he trusted her. Alisa nodded as she pulled up a picture of the emblem. This emblem is the logo of a robotics firm that's owned by, Alisa said, trailing off slightly, finding this a little humorous. Are you ready? Zenato's Enterprises, she said to him. So Zenato's was responsible for the attack at the park and those same men who stole the discs from him. Meaning he staged the whole thing, he's been lying to use us from the start. Naruto said, clutching his fist in rage. Listen, Naruto, we haven't known each other long, and I know you and your family don't have any good reason to trust humans. Alisa said, placing her hands in his cheeks as he looked away and turned him to face her. But you've got to trust somebody in this world, and I think you'd be better off with me than Zenato's. Alisa said as Naruto looked her in the eyes and nodded, causing her to smile. You won't regret it, she said, her voice full of honesty. It was palpable. I sure hope so. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. You two gonna kiss or what? Kurama asked, who was nearby and just then made his presence known. Oh, shut it, you and the rest of you too, Naruto said as him and Alisa saw the rest of the tailed beasts. Ah, whittle, Naruto's blushing. Shikaku laughed maniacally. Naruto growled as he grabbed Shikaku by the neck. Ah, uncle, he said. Kokuo and Matatabi looked over at Alisa, their eyes conveying one single message. Hurt him, you die. Are they your pets? Alisa asked curiously. We ain't his pets, we're his guardians. Kurama said to her. By that stupid sage I told you about, Naruto said to her offhandedly. Father made us through his magic along with the stuff he calls chakra, which is basically another form of magic, Gyuki said to her. We need to get back, I have a bad feeling something's going on at the castle, Naruto said as his nerves were on end. How? Alisa asked. I got some things from them, one of which was the ability to sense danger, Naruto said. Like Spider-Man? Alisa asked as that sounded useful and kinda cool. Who is this man of spiders? Naruto asked curiously. Alisa laughed at this as Naruto, looking clueless, was cute to her. 15 minutes later at the castle. Naruto arrived with the beasts carrying Alisa to find his family minus Demona fighting off robots that resembled his father. I see what Sanato's did with those discs, Chome said to him. Let's send these second-rate knockoffs back to the scrap heap. Naruto said as he was gonna beat them into the ground. It didn't take long for them to turn the tide against the machines. Demona fired at Goliath. What are you doing? Goliath said in anger, feeling betrayed. Goliath, I truly love you with all my heart, but you can be quite foolish at times, Demona said to him sternly. Naruto tried to step in but Sanato's pointed his weapon at him and the others. Let's let them have their lovers spat, Zanato said with a small chuckle. I can't believe you would still fight for the humans after what they did to our clan, Demona said, feeling her own sense of betrayal. Why are you doing this? Goliath asked, wanting answers. Because I will forever have the sight of our castle burning etched into my mind before I flew away with my brother, Demona said to him. Flew away, what do you mean flew away? Goliath asked, feeling a pit in his stomach. I wasn't at the castle as my brother didn't think it was safe. He tried to get the others to follow but now they wouldn't leave because you told them to stay. Demona said in anger. We were set up, Naruto said as he knew his uncle's longing for power was baffling, always falling deeper and deeper into the dark, but to destroy the clan, he thought, as even he didn't think his uncle was capable of that. Demona held her head for a moment. What do you mean? She asked before shouting in horror as she dropped the gun and held her head with both hands. Naruto tried to go to her but someone shot the ground in front of him. A silver body came out of a walkway holding a smoking gun. My God, Naruto said as he saw the very evil gargoyle that hated humans as well. Ah, come on nephew, is that any way to treat your dear old uncle? The gargoyle said, laughing. Iago, Goliath said, shocked to see his rookery brother. I go by Cold Steel now, Cold Steel said with a menacing grin. What have you done to yourself? Naruto asked in horror. Oh, this? Just a little work of alchemy, Cold Steel said as he laughed, sounding proud. How did you survive? Goliath asked, wanting answers. I wasn't there, I mean after all I wasn't going to be part of a massacre I thought up, Cold Steel said, sounding proud as all the gargoyles looked at him in horror. It was you all along. Goliath said, roaring in anger, feeling the burning longing to claim the revenge he thought was stolen from him. Yes, it was me. I truly tried saving them, but you can't save dogs who choose to listen to their MSTR instead of logic, Cold Steel said as he insulted Goliath. You knew that Hakken would destroy our clan? Demona shouted in anger, feeling sick and could feel the bile rising in her throat. Yep, and the captain did try to save the others. Such a kind man, but it's the kind ones I so love manipulating. He was always outcast by other humans for siding with us. Cold Steel said as the captain was always alienated as if he were a gargoyle himself. What are you, a gargoyle or a machine? Naruto asked as Cold Steel looked like some kind of hybrid of gargoyle and machine. Both actually. See, for all the centuries I've lived I've collected the bodies, souls really, of all the greatest gargoyles and humans to forge a new body using alchemy, combined that body with the best of technology has to offer, and I have achieved immortality. I cannot die as I heal, I don't turn to stone during the day, I am all powerful, he said, sounding proud. But why did you do it? Goliath said as that burning question was what was stopping him from charging at his traitorous brother. Easy, I got bored. Cold Steel said, as simple as breathing. Bored? Goliath shouted, feeling his rage soar to new heights. I got sick of the whole thing, Goliath. Centuries we had to run, condemned to that worthless rock, never growing, just the same old routine, fight off people to protect the humans, sleep, breed and repeat. It was boring, so I decided that I should shake things up. Have some fun, and boy did I ever. He laughed. Our rookery brothers and sisters, shattered all for your amusement. Goliath shouted. Yep, hey, we all gotta die sometimes, might as well help each other get there. At least they didn't feel pain. Cold Steel said to them as he thought it was a merciful death. Except you, isn't that why you made this so-called immortal body? Naruto said with a glare. Well, we all can't have genes that allow us to live for millions of years, Cold Steel said as he did his research and found out Naruto's bloodline lived to gargoyle lifetimes and the fact he was a gargoyle his life was very long. You know, nephew, I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up like me one day. After all, you age slower than we do, you live longer, he said to his nephew. Yeah, because of my family's genes, as I'm related to that SHT of a sage, and because I'm part gargoyle, Naruto said as he knew he'd outlive a lot of his friends and family. So in time everything you know and everyone you love will turn to dust. Tell me, Naruto, what will you have in the next 500 years? Cold Steel asked. I don't care, you bstrd. Naruto said. Ah, I expected that. Anyway, this has been a fun reunion, but I've got places to go and chaos to spread. Cold Steel said as he took to the skies. Naruto leapt up and grabbed him by the tail. Where do you think you're going? He said as he yanked him down and slammed him to the ground. We're not done, not even close. You need to pay for your crimes, for all the lives that were taken because of your selfishness, he said in anger, his voice getting louder halfway through his sentence. Ow, okay, can still feel pain, Cold Steel said before getting up. I was hoping to end this without having to beat you to the ground, but if you want a whooping I'm happy to oblige, he said as he swiped down his tail on Naruto, smashing him into the stone. Naruto got up, his eyes flashing like fire. Ah, there's that temper of yours, Cold Steel said as he always found that to be a decent quality in Naruto. I'll show you a temper. Naruto roared as he unleashed a torrent of flames. Cold Steel stood unharmed. Did you really think I'd make a body without preparing it for all you could throw at me? He said as he knew Naruto would one day return, but he had the advantage of patience, finding ways to defend himself from Naruto. I don't care what it takes, I'm gonna kill you, you murderer. Naruto shouted. Ha! That's going to be fun to see. Let me show you some of my new toys. Cold Steel said, opening his chest, unleashing a barrage of missiles at Naruto. Naruto clapped his hands, sending a shockwave causing the missiles to explode, the explosion sending Cold Steel through a wall. Pain sucks, Cold Steel said, rubbing his head. I told you should have gone for the full robotic treatment. Zenitsu said to him. And sacrifice what makes me a male? I think not, Cold Steel said as being organic had some merit. Touché. Zenitsu said with a smirk as he is most likely every man wouldn't give that part up. Less talking, more dying. Naruto roared as Cold Steel looked up, raising his right arm revealing a mounted wrist cannon. His lens focused on Naruto and smirked. Let's see how you like this. Cold Steel said, firing off a blast of energy striking Naruto dead on the chest. Nice shot. Zenitsu said, impressed. The key is not to pull the trigger but squeeze it. Cold Steel said with a smirk. Naruto let off a torrent of smoke concealing himself. Hide and seek, nephew, aren't you a bit old for this game? Cold Steel said as his eyes glowed, searching for heat until he locked on Naruto. Too bad these old tricks don't work on me, he said, sounding superior. Naruto ran at him and sent out a flash of heat, making Cold Steel groan. Naruto charged again, only for Cold Steel to grab him by the throat, his eyes flashing into the Rinne Sharingan. Ah yes, those eyes, the eyes the sage forcibly made sure you could gain. Did you know that only another member of a clan could have the second part of those? Cold Steel said to him, playing at Naruto's insecurities and curious nature. What are you talking about? Naruto asked in anger. Oh, how little you know, nephew. You're nothing but a pawn in a game that Sage has put into motion all those years ago, like he took you during an attack he made, Cold Steel said. What? Naruto asked in shock. Ripped you right from your home as your parents were dealing with attackers, that he told all the weaknesses to the village you lived in. Everything you have ever done has been a step on a path he put you on, Cold Steel said. Why not ask your precious tailed beasts? After all, they helped distract the humans to let him take you, he said. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked at the tailed beasts, who looked away in shame. I think that's enough emotional scarring, Cold Steel said as he dropped Naruto. Cold Steel took aim at both Demona and Goliath. Farewell, brother and sister, he said as the cannon charged, shining brightly. Goliath. Alisa said, running pushing the male gargoyle out of the way as the blast hit the ground. The two women stood on, causing it to crumble. No. Naruto said as he ran, jumping over the side to catch Alisa as his father caught Demona. Till our next family reunion. Cold Steel said, laughing, "Oh, and David, best of luck, though with you I doubt you'll need it," he said as Xanatos gave him a two-finger flying away. Naruto let out a roar of pure rage that echoed through the skies before walking over to Xanatos. "I should snap your neck," he growled, greatly considering it. "Go ahead, if it wasn't for me you'd still be gathering moss," Xanatos said to him. "Naruto, don't," Alisa said, as it wasn't worth it. "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't drop him," Naruto asked her, wanting to put Xanatos down. "Do it and you'll be just like Cold Steel, is that what you want?" Alisa asked him, wanting him to know the gravity of this choice. "No," Naruto said as he tossed Xanatos onto the ground. "Naruto," Kurama said, only to receive a hand to silence him. "Don't ever talk to me again," Naruto said to the tailed beasts as he walked up the tower as Alisa handcuffed Xanatos. The tailed beasts sighed in sadness, knowing Naruto's trust in them was now shattered. The clan all watched as Xanatos was put into a police car. "All these centuries and I didn't even know he was the one who caused our clan to be shattered," Demona said as she felt so empty inside. "What do you mean, all these centuries?" Goliath asked. "A very long story, oh Goliath, if you knew the things he had me do," Demona said as she cried a few tears. "I guess Alisa proves not all humans are bad," Naruto said to her with a smirk. "Yes, you are not bad, for a human," Demona said, looking at the human with a neutral look. Thanks," Alisa said, not knowing what else to say. "So have you gone on a date yet?" Demona asked teasingly. "Mom, she's just a friend," Naruto said quickly. "Can't blame me for having a little fun," Demona said with a chuckle. "Will you be able to let go of your hatred of humans?" Goliath asked his lover. "I've done so many things over the centuries, perhaps now is the time I finally make it right, besides I want my family again, I don't want to be alone anymore," Demona said with a sad smile. "We will not abandon you, whatever you have done in the past is there, what you do now determines who you are," Goliath said as the two embraced. "Sun's coming up in a few minutes," Naruto said as they all began taking their places. "Where's my glasses?" Brooklyn asked before Bronx brought him his sunglasses only for them to shatter after he put them on. "Shame, I'm still hungry," Broadway said. "You just ate," Lexington said to him in surprise. "Yeah, Chinese food, pretty good, but after an hour I got hungry again," Broadway said. "I'm glad we have at least one friend in this new world," Goliath said with a smile. "Yes, though I see some friendships will need to be renewed," Alisa said, looking at the tailed beasts who looked at Naruto. "If they are friends they'll learn to forgive," Demona said, as true friendship could overcome anything. "I look forward to the future adventures we'll have," Naruto said. "Sweet, maybe we can catch a giant's game," Alisa said to him. "Giants?" the family trio said before they turned to stone along with the others. "I have a feeling this city is gonna become a better place with you all in it," Alisa said before leaving, but not before sending a glance at Naruto's statue one more time. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author pyrohelixdrago on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.